This is why being a side piece, sneaky link, a fair partner, or whatever you want to call it these days is a very bad idea. It happened to a college professor who is allegedly accused of unaliving his girlfriend and her dog after he found out she was pregnant and refused to get an abortion. The offender in this case is 38-year-old Matthew Sierra, who is a mechanical design professor at the Western Technical College in Genoa, Wisconsin. And the victim is 27-year-old Alexis Pickett. It was stated that Matthew and Alexis had an on and off relationship for the past few years. And the reason I say it for the past few years is because they have a 2-year-old together. And what makes this situation worse is that Matthew is actually married. So on top of being married, he also has a secret family, which is actually not so secret as I tell you later on in the story. The night in question happened back in November 13th of 2025 when first responders had got a call about a house fire. Firefighters were able to put the blaze out, and after searching the rubble, they had came across a body. And upon further search of the house, they also found a dog stuffed behind the toilet. So at this point, authorities had thought that this was an accidental fire until the autopsy came back. And based on the autopsy, they had found there was no soot in her mouth, throat, or lung. They even ran a carbon monoxide test in which it came back low readings, in which the medical examiner had come to the conclusion that she had passed away before the fire even started. And with these findings, authorities will go ahead and launch an investigation and to find out what happened to Alexis. Detectives will go ahead and question one of Alexis' friends who only wants to be identified as LM, who painted a very wide picture of what happened to Alexis, in which LM would tell authorities that Alexis and Matthew had a very turbulent relationship, and that they've been on and off again for the past few years, but Matthew had become aggressive towards Alexis after he found that she was pregnant again.
I'm pregnant.
Off.
What?
What?
I'm pregnant?
LM will also tell authorities that Matthew had told Alexis multiple times that she needed to get an abortion, that he wants nothing to do with this child. He even threatened her that he would take full custody of their first son if she didn't get one. LM would go on to state that she felt that Alexis' death was done by Matthew. Now, during Matthew's interview, he would go ahead and admit that him and Alexis had been having an on and off again relationship, and that the relationship had just been rekindled a few weeks ago. He even admitted to authorities that he was at the residence between midnight and 2 a.m. that night. Now, I'm gonna pause there for a second because Matthew just made a very big mistake. Now, I'm gonna call this segment How to Get Away with Murder.
How to Get Away with Murder.
But this is only for educational purposes. The reason why I say that Matthew had messed up is because he had admitted that he was at the residence from midnight to 2 a.m. And authorities know that they had arrived at the residence for the fire around 3:30 a.m. So Matthew had inadvertently put himself at the scene. Matthew also admitted that he drove around the corner and waited in case Alexis had texted him asking him to come back. Now, I can't speak for everybody else, but if the deed was that good, you wouldn't need to have to drive around the corner and wait. She would just keep you there. They actually had most of the information because they actually gathered data from Alexis' cell phone. Based on the information from Alexis' cell phone, they have found that her and Matthew had been texting since 9 p.m. and that the last text she had sent him was that she was going to bed and that if he wanted to come by for some nightly fun, he was more than welcome to do so. Now let's go on to mistake number 2 that he made. Because the second mistake that he made was that everything he did was recorded. He got caught by Ring cameras arriving at Alexis' residence around 12:45 a.m. If you're allegedly going to commit a crime, you should be aware of all cameras in the area. Based on the footage, it would show that Matthew arrived around 12:45 and didn't leave until 2:30 a.m. You can hear a dog barking around 2:30 a.m., followed by 15 minutes later a smoke alarm going off, and then Matthew leaving abruptly out of the residence. According to Matthew's version story, after he waited for Alexis to text him back and she never did, that's when he went home. Matthew being an idiot again, not realizing that you're walking around with a GPS tracker in your pocket. Because according to his phone data, he never left the area. The typology that Matthew had exhibited during this crime was known as elimination of unwanted child. Now, the elimination of an unwanted child is when a person does not want to care for a child, and so they tend to eliminate the problem. To cover all their P's and Q's, authorities will go ahead and question Matthew's wife. Now, while questioning Matthew's wife, they have found that Matthew was doing a lot of mind fuckery. Because during his interview, Matthew would state that his wife was aware that he had left the house, and that she was also aware of the affair. His wife would state that she was not aware that he even left the house. She thought he went to bed early. How you not notice your husband is not in bed unless you sleep in 2 separate rooms? Matthew's wife also didn't want to be revealed, so she went by the initials of ES. She would admit to authorities that she knew about the affair. And not just knew about the affair, she knew the affair partner by name. She also stated that she would do everything in her power to avoid Alexis as much as possible. Now, this is how much psychological and emotional abuse that Matthew was causing his wife, to a point where she was paying extra money for therapy. She was seeing a therapist just to get rid of the idea of imagining Matthew and Alexis being intimate. Now, some of you would have said that y'all would just walked away from the situation, But it depends on how long you've been together, because anything that's less than 3 months, it's easy to walk away from. But anything that enters a long-term relationship gets harder to walk away. And some of you have been in years of bad relationship to a point where you actually saw a therapist after your relationship ended, or sometimes during your relationship. Matthew has stated in his interview that his wife knew that Alexis was expecting, but according to ES interview, she had no idea that Matthew and Alexis was having another baby. ES would go ahead and state that if she had knew that Alexis was expecting, it would break her down even more. Now, authorities go ahead and arrest Matthew and charge him with first-degree intentional homicide of an unborn child, intentional homicide, arson, and the mistreatment of animals. Matthew is currently sitting in jail on a $1 million bond, and his lawyer had filed a motion for dismiss, but was denied by the judge. So I'm curious about what everybody else thinks. Do you feel that Matthew may have done this, or do you feel that it may have been a conspiracy of both him and his wife being involved in this situation? Go ahead and put your comments down below, and if you like more forensic analysis of cases like this, go ahead and stay tuned for more videos to come. And with that, don't be a side piece.